When I was 20 years old, I had no money, no connections, and no family wealth behind me. I was the son of an immigrant. I watched my father lose everything in a business collapse, and I made myself one quiet promise. I was going to understand money before money had the chance to destroy me, too. What I discovered over the next 70 years of investing and teaching is that the distance between zero and investor is not measured in dollars. It is measured entirely in how you think. And today, I'm going to give you the exact mindset shift that makes that crossing possible, the lie you have been told about. Starting the biggest reason people never become investors is not that they have no money. It is that they believe they need money before they can start thinking like an investor. They say, I will learn about investing when I have something to invest. They say, I will take it seriously when the amounts are real. They say the rich can afford to think long term. I am just trying to survive right now. I understand that feeling completely. I lived inside that feeling. But here is what nobody tells you. The thinking always comes before the money. Without exception, every investor you have ever admired did not become wealthy and then adopt the mindset of an investor. They adopted the mindset first, and the wealth followed as a natural consequence. Warren Buffett was studying stock certificates at age 7. He had no money. He was a child. He was doing the thinking. Years before he had anything real to invest, the mindset is not a reward you receive. After you accumulate wealth, it is the tool you use to build it. The shift from consumer to owner here is the most important mental transition you will ever make. Right now, you are almost certainly living as a consumer, and there is nothing wrong with that. It is how almost every human being on Earth lives. But consumers and investors see the world in fundamentally opposite ways. And until you make this shift, no amount of money will turn you into an investor. When a consumer walks past a McDonald's, they think about lunch. When an investor walks past a McDonald's, they think about how many billions of those transactions are happening simultaneously all over the world every single day, and who is collecting a fraction of every one of them. When a consumer sees their phone bill arrive every month, they feel the pain of the expense. When an investor sees that phone bill, they immediately ask who owns the infrastructure that made this bill possible, and can I own a piece of that? This is not a complicated intellectual exercise. It is simply a habit of asking one additional question every time money changes hands. Who is on the receiving end of this transaction, and can I become a partial owner of that receiving end? The moment you start asking that question, automatically and genuinely, the moment it becomes your natural first instinct, that is the moment you have become an investor. Regardless of how much money you currently have in your account, the 3 beliefs you must replace. Today, becoming an investor requires you to replace 3 specific beliefs that the consumer mindset has installed in you. The first belief to replace is that spending money is normal and saving is sacrifice. Every consumer culture on Earth is built to make spending feel natural and rewarding, and make saving feel like deprivation. You must rewire this completely. Saving is not sacrifice. Saving is acquiring the raw material of your future freedom. Every dollar you do not spend is a soldier. You are recruiting to work for you permanently. The second belief to replace is that the future is too uncertain to plan, for I hear this constantly, especially from young people in 2026. The world feels unstable and unpredictable, and so people use that uncertainty as permission to not think about tomorrow. But uncertainty is not new. The world was uncertain in 1929, it was uncertain in 1945, it was uncertain in 2008. The investors who built lasting wealth did not build it because they successfully predicted the future. They built it because they prepared for multiple possible futures, and then let compounding do the rest. Uncertainty is not your enemy. Impatience is. The third belief to replace is that investing is for people with advantages you do not have. I had no advantages when I started. The students who came into my classroom at Columbia with the least money were often my very best investors 20 years later because they had learned to think carefully before they acted. They could not afford to be reckless, so they were not reckless. The absence of money forces a discipline that inherited wealth almost never produces your constraints. Right now are not your obstacle, they are your training. The only number that matters when you have nothing, when you are starting from zero. The most dangerous trap is obsessing over investment returns before you have built the habit of investing. All people spend enormous mental energy debating whether to put money into this stock or that index fund or this asset class or that one, and they are asking completely the wrong question. The only question that matters when you are starting from nothing is this: am I consistently setting aside any amount at all? Not a large amount, not an impressive amount. Any amount. The specific investment vehicle matters far less than the habit of investing regularly and automatically, without negotiation and without exception. I tell every beginner the same thing. Start with whatever you can genuinely afford to never touch again. It does not matter if that number is $20. It does not matter if it feels embarrassingly small. The amount is irrelevant. The habit is everything. Because here is what actually happens. When you invest consistently, even tiny amounts, your brain begins to identify as an investor. You begin to read differently. You begin to notice things you never noticed before. You begin to ask the owner question automatically and gradually, without any dramatic moment of transformation. You have crossed from the consumer world into the investor world. The money follows the identity, and the identity is built by the habit, the most important investment you will make. This year, I want to be honest with you about something that most financial content refuses to say. The returns you earn on your money in the next 12 months matter very little. What matters enormously is the investor you are becoming right now, the knowledge you are building, the habits you are forming, the mental framework you are assembling through reading and observation and careful thinking. This is your real portfolio in 2026, and it is the one that will determine everything about your financial life. In 2036, read one serious book about business this year. Not a get-rich-quick book, a book about how a real business was built, how it survived difficulty, how it created value over time. Watch how the companies around you actually operate, where the money flows, who captures it, and why. Form one opinion about one business completely, independently, without asking anyone, without reading any analyst report, just based on your own observation and reasoning. These habits cost you nothing except attention, and they are worth more than any specific stock you could buy right now. The bottom line, from zero to investor, is not a financial journey. It is a mental one. You do not need a brokerage account to start. You need a question: who owns this? And can I? You do not need capital to start. You need a habit. Save something every single month, without exception. You do not need market knowledge to start. You need honesty about the 3 beliefs that are currently holding you back. The money will come if you build the mind first. I have watched this happen across 60 years of teaching, and I have never once seen it work in the other direction. Build the investor inside your head today, and the portfolio will take care of itself. That is where every great investor begins. That is where you begin right now.